Agya. Dharmagya. Dharmo Shivrisharupadrik. Mo Shivrisharupadrik. Yada Dharma Kritasthana. Suchakashya Pitad Bhavit. Pitad Bhavit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Rajovacha, the king said, Dharmam, religion. Bravishi, as you speak. Dharmagya, O one who knows the codes of religion. The codes of religion. Dharma, the personality of religion. Asi, you are. Visharupadrik, in the disguise of a bull. Yat, whatever. Adharma kritaha, one who acts irreligiously. Sthanam, place. Suchakashya, of the identifier. One who points fingers, the identifier. Api, also. Tat, that. Bhavet, becomes. Translation. The king said, O you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. So Maharaj Parikshit is the king who's speaking here. He's in charge of the whole world. On his way to conquer the rest of the planet, he ran into a lowly man dressed up as a king who was punishing the bull and the cow unnecessarily. And the king confronted him. And the king addressed the bull and the cow. The king asked, what's happening? What's going on? Who's this man punishing you? He's dressed up like a king, but I'm the king. What's going on? And the bull didn't point fingers. The bull gave him a philosophical answer. We will get to it. And then in response, Maharaj Parikshit is addressing the bull this way. He said, you are speaking the truth of religion. You are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of the irreligious acts is also intended for one who points fingers. That's a very, very deep principle that we as Vaishnavas are supposed to practice. Never blame anybody, never point fingers, always trying to grow through that situation. So the class is over. I've said everything I wanted to say. But let's go to Srila Prabhupada's purport, Bhaktivedanta purport. A devotee's conclusion is that no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord. So the devotee is aware that Krishna knows what's going on. And Lord Jesus says, vengeance is mine. In other words, you don't have to point fingers. You don't have to judge. You don't have to punish. That's my prerogative, Jesus says. And Jesus is who? Son of God, and he's our guru. Srila Prabhupada says, Jesus is our guru. So the same principles. Therefore, the devotee does not consider anyone to be directly responsible for such action. But in both the case, he takes it for granted that either benefit or loss is God sent. Either benefit or loss is God sent, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. And thus, it is His grace, it is Krishna's grace. In case of a benefit, no one will deny that it's God sent. But in case of loss or reverses, one becomes doubtful about how the Lord could be so unkind to His devotee as to put him in great difficulty. Here comes Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was seemingly put into such great difficulty, being crucified by the ignorant. But He was never angry at the mischief mongers. That Srila Prabhupada's language, mischief mongers. Yeah, that's us sometimes. Are you a mischief monger, Lokik Prabhu? Yes? Yeah, Azimananda, please keep an eye on him. Okay. That is the way of accepting a thing, either favorable or unfavorable. Thus, for a devotee, the identifier is equally a sinner like the mischief monger. By God's grace, the devotee tolerates all reverses, titikshava karunika, happily tolerating, keeping our service going. Because we're not masochists, right? We're not just tolerating for no purpose, for no reason. The underlying mood, the underlying purpose of tolerating something that's difficult is that we want to become stronger in our service. Service is underlying mood in anything we do, in anything we tolerate. We not just tolerate for the sake of tolerance. We tolerate to please Krishna with our service and understanding that this is coming from Him. It has nothing to do with the perpetrator. It's coming from Krishna. There's no need to be angry, no need to lose temper. It's coming from Krishna, and Krishna knows what's going on. Isn't that consoling? That Krishna, who is our best friend, our well-wisher, who sent Prabhupada, who sent us this devotees association, that this best friend knows what's going on. There's no such thing as injustice. Has any one of you ever faced an injustice? Okay. Just one Prabhuji? No one else? No. Yeah, more or less, yeah. See, injustice is part of the programming of this material world. It's programmed by Krishna and Lord Brahma as a secondary creator in such a way that there will always be something, some sort of botheration, some seeming injustice. But because we, as devotees, are given the vision how to see that injustice, how to handle it, then for us, there's no injustice. So, yeah, the devotee tolerates all reversals. Maharaj Parikshit observed this, and therefore he could understand that the bull who gave that answer, the bull said, no, it's not that man. No, we don't know. Krishna is so wonderful. He's so inconceivable. We don't know. That's what the bull said. And Maharaj Parikshit immediately recognized the great soul in that bull. And he said, you are acting in accordance with the truth of religion, dharma, religion, the duty, the immanent quality of existence is called dharma. In other words, a devotee has no suffering at all, because so-called suffering is also God's grace for a devotee who sees God in everything. So the devotee doesn't have suffering, but when something difficult comes, what does the devotee experience? Does the devotee experience pain? Yeah, pain. Pain is mandatory, pain is natural, pain is part of the programming of this world. But suffering is totally 100% unnecessary, right? There may be some difficulty, something to overcome, some pain, but suffering that starts here and ends here. It's a total, complete concoction of the mind. Suffering is not necessary. There's a very clear line in the sand. This is pain, which is good, helpful, natural, and there is suffering, which comes when false ego takes charge. Okay. Let me go back to the verse. Okay. The cow and bull were never placed any complaint before the king. So king was right there. He took out his sword and he was ready to punish the evil man. But the bull never pointed, and the cow, the earth, they never pointed fingers, even in front of the king who was ready to punish and chastise. So they never placed any complaint before the king for being tortured by the personality of Kali, this evil man, dressed as a king. Although everyone lodges such complaints before the state authorities. You call 911 on somebody. Sometimes that's necessary. But the mood is not that we're blaming them, we're judging them. We understand that this is an unfortunate soul. He's, causing troubles. We'll do the needful, but we don't judge, and we understand that this situation is not coming from that perpetrator, this mischief monger. He's doing his thing. It's between me and Krishna, who's my best friend and who put this person in my life so I can learn my lesson. And if I don't learn my lesson of tolerance and understanding that Krishna is behind it, then what's going to happen? If I don't learn my lesson, what's going to happen? Prabhuji, Jiv Jago, what's going to happen if you don't learn your lesson? Come again. Okay. If something happens and you fail to react as a Vaishnava with tolerance and patience and understanding that it's coming from Krishna, what's going to happen if you start getting reactive? Oh, it's coming from him. Injustice. What's going to happen if you react like that? It's a very simple consequence for that kind of reaction. Who knows? Suffering, yeah, that suffering is right there. Yes, that's a good answer. Not the one I'm looking for. Let's keep going. What's going to happen? What's that? We get those, exactly. That's a good one. See, we're churning so much out of that. Not the one I'm looking for, not the answer I'm looking for. A very simple consequence. When you fail something in college, what happens? Repeats. Prabhuji, yes, thank you. It happens again. The test will come again and again and again until we learn that this has nothing to do with this person. This is between me and Krishna. This is happening for my upliftment. Let me grow through this situation. Let me not only grow and tolerate, let me thank Krishna. Krishna, thank you so much for this situation. And what's the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that illustrates this mood? This is a question for everybody except Kanagopal Prabhu, because he knows that verse. Tate anukampam susimikṣamanu. Great. Big round of applause for Prabhuji. Sweet. And what's the translation? Translation? Who knows the translation? Maybe in your own words, in your own terms. It doesn't have to be exact. As a result of what? Yes, we own it. I must have done something 20 lifetimes ago. I must have done something, and now it's coming back. Let me own it. So that's there. What else is in the verse? All the while doing what? Doing devotional service with what? 3 elements. Hrid, Vag, Vapubir. What are those things? Heart, Hrid, Vag, Vapubir. Yes, heart, speech. Yes. That's a good answer. Not for this question, though. Association is everything. Don't get me wrong. Association is the key. But yeah, so we own we own the consequence. We understand that we must have done something, all the while continuing our devotional service with our speech, body, and words. All the while serving Krishna, who is Kanagopal. Will you have that verse? You checking Facebook? No? Tate anukampam susamikshamana. Tate anukampam. Okay. So all the while continuing serving Krishna. That's to cut the long story short. So yes, that's the mood. When something happens, we own it. We never point fingers. And all the while we're continuing our devotional service. Because it's not enough to not point fingers. That's not enough. The devotee doesn't stop there. The devotee always keeps their service going. That's the mood. The devotee is like water. Water is very clear. We don't distort anything. We present. When Ramari Prabhu told me that I'm giving class, I said, what are the guidelines? What are the requirements and qualifications? And he said, no mental speculation. I said, no mental speculation. So a Vaishnava is like water, very clear via medium. We present the knowledge the way it was presented to us by Srila Prabhupada in his books and Bhaktivedanta purports. And Vaishnava is like water in the sense that you take Vaishnava, you pour him in the cup, and then the devotee takes the shape of that cup, keeping the substance. And then if you put the devotee in the vase may be like this, so the devotee has no problem. All right, you put me in that situation, I'll take that shape. But the essence of the devotee remains the same, regardless of the shape of the jar, right? Isn't that wonderful that we're... And another analogy of this devotee mentality that we're talking about, of never judging, always owning, and always keeping our service going. Another analogy for that is salt. Devotee is like salt. Who knows the explanation of this analogy? Why a Vaishnava is like salt? Salt? Yes, Prabhu? Yes, exactly. Yeah, a Vaishnava is always very humble. Very humble. You can't even tell. Like, look at Azimananda. He's like salt. When he's not there, it's immediately everybody notices. At least I notice. Thank you, Prabhu. Azimananda Prabhu ki jai. Sweet. So, any questions so far? Yes. What's your name? Devan. Sweet. Sweet. Welcome back. So it took a blizzard for you to come back. Sweet. Yes. Yes. It's right there. Absolutely. Okay. What about reincarnation? Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Where do we go? So the principle, thank you very much, Devan. The principle of reincarnation is that what we have now, the body we have now, the mind we have now, the family and all that, is a result of our past misdeeds, past deeds, good and bad, everything. I'm speaking about myself, So what we have now is the result of what we've done in the past. And Krishna is so wonderful that he doesn't want to throw that in our face. Because if he throws all these unlimited lifetimes in our face and make us aware of them, we're going to go crazy. So we don't remember that. But we can tell by our current situation that I must have done something. You know, if you're afraid of heights, for example, maybe you were a bird, I don't know, or something like that. There was one story. There was one saintly person, and he had a young student. And the student approached him and said, "Master, can you reveal me who I was in my previous life? Because I want to do well in this life, but could you please tell me who I was in my past life?" And the guru closed his eyes. He meditated and meditated. And then he said, "My dear student, in your previous life, you were a saintly person. But somehow or other, you messed it up a little bit towards the end. You dropped the ball a little bit. So in this lifetime, you have to finish you have to complete what you left unfinished in your previous life." And the student got so enlivened. He was so uplifted, and he was so eager to be a good devotee in this lifetime, knowing that he was a saintly person in his previous life. And he did well, and he went back to Godhead, and it was very, later on. But then years went by, and he went back to the spiritual master when the spiritual master was on the deathbed. And he said, "Guruji, I'd like to express my appreciation for the revelation that you made for me. It was such a boost in my life that you told me who I was." And then the guru opened his eyes and smiled, and he said, "You know what? I pranked you in your previous life." You know, he was about to depart, so he decided to reveal the truth. He said, "In your previous life, you were a pig, but I didn't tell you because it doesn't matter. And look how well you did, despite being, who you were in your previous life." So that really, the entanglement of karma is so complex. We're not even meant to dive into it and dissect it and figure it out. What matters is where we're at now. What am I doing now? Am I in the association of the devotees? Yes. Am I about to honor prasadam? Yes. Am I wearing tilak like Lokik Prabhu? Yes. Am I about to engage in devotional service? Yes. So forget the past. Because we really don't have it, Vaisheshika Prabhu says the only asset that we have is our attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. Yeah, if we let the energy flow to the past 20 lifetimes, who knows, 40 lifetimes ago, who knows who you were? Maybe you were, I don't know what I want to say, but that doesn't matter. For a Vaishnava who is engaged in devotional service positively, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, we're not really supposed to be so much concerned. And where we're going, that's the other part of the question that Devon asked, the life after life. So that's a great question. And the principle here is that a Vaishnava is prepared to go to hell and or stay in this earthly realm or to go to heaven, doesn't matter, as long as I am able to go on with my service. If you want me to serve in hell, I'll go to hell. If you want me to serve here, if you want me to keep coming back here again and again, I'll come. I'm a preacher. Srila Prabhupada was a preacher. So my aspiration is to raise my consciousness to prema and go back to Godhead. But if you so desire, every time we pray to the Lord, we should add, if you so desire. Krishna, I am being audited by IRS. Please help me with this one. If you so desire. And then it becomes a genuine prayer. When Krishna had headache, he requests for some dust from the devotees' feet. And everybody denied. Krishna, there's no way I'm giving you any dust from my feet. I'm unqualified. I'm going to go to hell if you, Krishna, put my dust from my feet on your head. So Krishna went to this devotee, that devotee. Everybody denied. And then Krishna went to the gopis. his most exalted servants. And the gopis didn't hesitate. Krishna, you have a headache? You need some dust from our feet? No problem. Here. If we have to go to hell for that, we're happy to go to hell. As long as you're pleased. So that's as far as life after this life goes. We are prepared to go wherever Krishna and spiritual master wants us to go. Previous life, forget the past, move on. Was that okay, Devon? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Devon. That's a cool name. That's a cool name to live up to. Devon. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Your name? Alan. Cool. Great question. One time, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he asked his disciples, in fact, he challenged his disciples. He said, how do you know that Krishna is real? And the devotees got very, very concerned. He said, Prabhupada, what kind of question is that? You're the one who's supposed to give us faith, this unflinching faith in Krishna, and then all of a sudden you're asking, how do we know if Krishna is real? What do we know, Prabhupada? And then one devotee very timidly raised his hand and he said, I know that Krishna is real because it is said so in the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, no, that's not the answer. And then another devotee said, well, I know that Krishna is God because it says so in Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's other Shastric conclusion that there's this avatar for this age and that avatar for that age, and he gave a very complex philosophical answer, quoted Shastra, and Srila Prabhupada said, no, that's not how you know that Krishna is real. And then finally one devotee raises his hand and says, I know that Krishna is real because I have experienced that, and I experience this right now, being the association of my spiritual master, hearing about Krishna from scripture. So in other words, I know that Krishna is real because I have direct experience of Krishna, God. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's the answer. So Prabhupada had a secretary at that time, Shrutakirti Das. A secretary, personal assistant, a personal servant, Shrutakirti. And Shrutakirti Prabhu noted that. Oh, all right. So we know that Krishna is God because we have experience of Krishna in our life. So, he marked it down. And the next time Shrutakirti was there and Prabhupada asked a different group of devotees and challenged them in the same way. So how do you know that Krishna is God? And Shrutakirti was, I know the answer. And the devotees started, because this, and Prabhupada would say, no, because of that, no. And then finally, Shrutakirti Prabhu raises his hand. It was very dishonest on his part, raising his hand. I know, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, so what's your answer? And he said, I know that Krishna is God because I experienced that. And Prabhupada says, no. And Prabhupada gave the answer. He said, we know that Krishna is God because it said so. It is said so in the Bhagavad Gita. And Shrutakirti Prabhu, every time he tells this story, he says, you can never figure out a genuine spiritual master. You can never calculate their next move or the next thing they're going to say. This is called gravity. Spiritual master is grave. You can't possibly know what kind of answer they're going to give. And if you think I got it, I know my spiritual master, I know what he's going to say, then you are in illusion. Then you should immediately go take shower and do some penance and take some prasadam and get purified. So we should always revere our spiritual master and never think that we got it. So there may be different answers to that question, but those are the two that are helpful, at least in my life. First of all, I have first-hand experience of God when I hang out with devotees like Azimananda, Lukik Prabhu, Gana Gopal. That's Krishna in my life right there. I can touch them appropriately. And it's very visceral, very tangible. When I take prasadam, it's Krishna. It's uplifting. When I hear the Bhagavatam, everything that is troublesome to the heart immediately goes away. I have personally experienced that. That's Krishna. So, and then also, of course, it's not sentimental. I just saw a blue boy right there. We can't claim that either. We should always remain humble and follow the process as it was presented to us by Srila Prabhupada. We shouldn't get too lofty. One time, a disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, what's my eternal relationship with Krishna? He was expecting an esoteric answer. He said, oh, you are a gopi or something, or a manjari. And Srila Prabhupada would never go there when he would receive questions like that. He would always say, do your sadhana, read books, serve Krishna, and in due course it'll be revealed to you naturally. So, and this is what's so beautiful about this movement, that it's not teaching you something that is lofty and something that is far out, something that is over your head. Nobody's rolling up their eyes in trying to fake ecstasy or impress anybody. It's very down to earth. You can easily prove the teaching by putting it to practice. Next time a reversal comes, let me see if I can apply Krishna consciousness here. Let me meditate on Maharaj Parikshit. Let me meditate on the bull who never pointed fingers. Let me keep going with my service and let me grow through this situation. Because Krishna needs tools. And if the tools are soft, then what's the use? So if there's no challenge, if there's no reversal, then we can't surrender. There's no surrender either. We're basically, it's called homeostasis. Any biologist, scientist here, you know what homeostasis is? Yeah? Then everything is equipoised. Nothing is challenging you. You're in your element, moisturized. Sometimes that is being falsely taken for the perfection of yoga. I'm unbothered. No, we should be ready to jump into action for the benefit of others and with the aim of pleasing our spiritual master. Sometimes in the morning when we chant japa, yes, that's the time for quiet, absorbed meditation. But then we go out into the world and we apply that outwardly. And that's a time for action. So I'm rambling on. Any questions so far? Mithuna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, nice to see you. I feel very comfortable speaking in Mithuna Prabhu's presence. He can back me up if I start speaking something that is not in line with Guru Sadha and Shastra. Thank you, Mithuna Prabhu. Okay, questions. We can take one last question. Your name, Prabhuji? Lawrence. Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If we live our life as an animal, then Krishna will grant that desire, and Krishna will give us the body in which we can enjoy those things. A pigeon can have procreation 50 times a day. So if we're into that, Krishna will grant that desire by giving us that body. Yeah, that's the principle. If we act like a human, then in our next life we'll become a human. But if we live our life like an angel, and in our next life we'll become a devotee, be a devotee. Yeah, so that's the principle. Kana Gopal Prabhu, is that a correction? No? Question? Okay. Yes. Great question. What's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? There's no one more dear to me than one who is preaching my glory. So preaching is a very, very direct, hands-on experience of Krishna. It takes absolute surrender when you approach that person with a book. You know Gopal Champu? Gopal Champu Prabhu, he was at Harinam one day and he was doing books. And then there was some prasadam left over. And Harinam was packing up, and he wanted to distribute the prasadam that was left. And he approached this one of those chess players, on Union Square, those scruffy gentlemen with some questionable background. So he approached one of them and offered them a plate, genuinely offered them a plate with prasadam. And that chess player, he flipped the plate, and I think he spat in Gopal Champu's face. He said, "Who do you think I am? You think I'm your dog? You're giving me food?" Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda. So, and Gopal Champu Prabhu was describing that instance as an experience of Krishna's mercy in his life. So if you want mercy, straight up mercy, go out into the world like you do, Gopal Prabhu. And that's the best way. That's not the only way, but if you're asking about the most direct, fast, it's backed up by Shastra. Krishna himself says, there's no one more dear to me than one who does that. Yeah, I hope it's satisfying. Yeah, but Krishna says, whatever you do, do it as an offering to me. Yatkarashi yadashnashi yat shitadasya yat tapasya kanti atat kushamadarpan. Whatever you do it as an offering to me, and you will experience me. Right? Offering is a two-way street. Offering is not that you offer into abyss. When you offer something, there's a reciprocation immediately. So offering to Krishna also means experiencing Krishna. Serving Krishna means experiencing Krishna. That goes without saying. Tulsi Maharani, you have anything to add to this presentation? The reason is that Krishna is so wonderful that he's very playful. When he does that to a sincere devotee, that means he's playing with you. Because as soon as we start thinking, I have realized Krishna is not going anywhere. That's what gopis thought. Krishna is ours. And as soon as they had that thought, what did Krishna do? So yes, in your case, Tulsi Prabhu, when Krishna is doing that's his reciprocation with you. Because he loves you. He's playful. Krishna dances, Krishna pulls tricks, Krishna makes jokes. Krishna is real. Oh, he does it lovingly. Tulsi Maharani. Thank you so much for being who you are, by the way. Tulsi Prabhu ki jai. Thank you. Jai. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai. Thank you.